So here are some other stories that we think people may be talking about today. America's longest-running children's cartoon is coming to an end. After 25 seasons, PBS Kids has announced that they won't make any more episodes of Arthur.
More than 9,000 wonderful kinds of days, Arthur is ending with its 25th season.
In 1996, a little aardvark set out on a big mission.
Yes, we're sorry to bring you this news, my friends, but the news emerged on the Finding DW podcast, where the series writer, Kathy Waugh, announced the show wrapped production actually 2 years ago.
How do you know if any of this stuff is true?
What do you mean?
How do you know someone didn't just make it up?
What? You mean just lie? You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
On January 18th, 2022, it was officially announced that Arthur would end its 25-season run on February 21st, 2022, detailing the life of our favorite AARDVARK and all of his fantastic friends we've grown to love as they finally have grown up.
This song fits the letters of the first word on my spelling list. AARDVARK.
AARDVARK. AARDVARK.
On the outside, someone might question me, what's the big deal? You haven't watched the recent seasons. It is just a kid's show. You grew up, Jacob. It's not that big of a deal at all. Well, I would come back to explain that in my own personal experience, this is a much bigger deal to me. In this homage to the show, I'll detail its impact on me, production decisions that help make the show what it is, my favorite episodes and the best moments from those, and myself saying goodbye to the friends that I've made over the years. This isn't so much of a video essay, however. I just want to treat it more as a celebration of what I consider personally the best kids show of all time, which is a tough competition as it is.
You know what's the most exciting thing about winning? It's when you win. I love that feeling. Ooh,
I was just about the perfect age to watch classic Arthur. Born in 1997 in Ontario, I would frequent my early life going to my local library where I'd constantly sign out different Mark Brown Arthur books. The books fascinated me as the early editions of the book had Arthur looking like a real aardvark compared to the later books more based on the television show. This always amused me. I remember the great Mark Brown on TV once telling me that he put his kids' names hidden in nearly every book, Tolan, Tucker, and Eliza. The fact alone made me sign out the books on a regular basis and search for them, which in turn made me tune into the television show, right around the time I was the titular character's age, the great age of 8. By the time I was Arthur's age, there was 9 seasons and 125 full episodes in rotation on TVO Kids and PBS. What really appealed to me of how similar of a life that Arthur had compared to me. For one thing, most of the production of Arthur took place in Boston, but there was many ties to Canada, where the voice acting and animation took place. Boston and Ontario both had very similar school systems and experiences in the early 2000s, from waiting for that class list to be posted in the hallway, the TV being rolled into the classroom, the first modern computer, to frequent snow days. Perhaps these things will appear dated to modern generations with more technology being implemented in class. Also, with the recent pandemic affecting life as we know it, it may never look like what the show presented. This is how I remember public school. School was only a small part of the reason why Arthur really resonated to me, however. Let's look at the basic similarities to start. Let me prove that I was my small-town Ontario's Arthur. I was a book-loving third grader with average to good grades who had main character syndrome. I won't deny that. I had a too smart for her own good, extremely independent sister who was 4 years younger than me. Hi, Sadie. Or should I say DW? Not only did my mom and dad kind of look like Jane and David, but they also didn't have me or Sadie until they were in their mid-30s. Jane and David were both extremely mature parents who seemed to have it figured out, which I compared a lot to mom and dad growing up. Fun but fair in a calm household. My best friend in the whole world when I was 8 was funnier than me and was raised by his mom. To say he was my Buster was an understatement. The amount of bike rides we would go on would just remind me of Arthur and Buster constantly. My first ever serious crush when I was 8 was one of my close friends who was a brunette girl that was a huge tomboy at the time. My Francine as a kid. Hell, there was even a boy in my class named George who never spoke. He didn't have a dummy though. My life wasn't totally similar. No Binky Barnes, no Kate, no Pal, just a 30-pound cat named Ringo. But there was enough things that lined up in my own mind that made the experiences of the characters in the show extremely relatable for me to watch, and keep me watching years after the classic episodes were gone. I remember well into high school, I would get off my bus and race into the seat and watch a rerun of Arthur to live in that nostalgia and remember my childhood. I always had difficulty remembering aspects of my childhood. I didn't go through anything traumatic, but I think the fact that I lived in the same house all my life, a lot of my memories blend together. With the amount of Arthur I watched from kid to adult, mixed with the fact of how much of my own life I was watching when I tuned in, it really feels like when I go back and watch an episode that I'm watching old friends, in a life that just doesn't exist anymore. I had plenty of friends, as did Arthur. Now they seem to blend together. Sue, Fern, Muffy, Brain, and Binky seem like I've known them all my life. And I gotta hand it to the brilliant writers of the show who really nailed what kids were like on the playground in the early 2000s. I can't go much more into this video without talking about what else made the show special. There were so many creative decisions involved in the writing and aesthetic of the show. Each episode consisted mostly of Arthur and his friends facing a very real problem that kids start to face growing up, and how they would have to be the ones to solve it, and use their critical thinking skills. Whether they used teamwork between friends, telling the truth, or facing the consequences. This was all brought together beautifully with great directing and a beautiful musical score that will always be ingrained in my brain when I walk anywhere. Speaking of music, the amount of great songs written and performed on the show is astounding. For one, that Not Live music special had 3 amazing songs.
Just a little homework tonight. Just a little homework tonight. Just a little homework tonight.
Art Garfunkel had an amazing tune about Buster.
This is the story about the face on the cake. It belongs to Buster Baxter.
Buster had a great tune about Buster.
'Cause it's Baxter Day. Yes, it's Baxter Day. Stop whatever you're doing, let me hear you say, today is Baxter Day.
And how can we forget the theme song that graced our TVs when we got home from school?
Wonderful kind of day. If you could learn to work and play and get along with each other.
Here's a fun fact. If you yell, "and I say, hey!" to a bunch of early Gen Z college students at a party, all of them will respond, "hey!" and start singing the song in a bad Jamaican accent. The theme song really set the tone of the show, and the clear messaging the show wants you to learn before you even dive into an episode. There is so much to cover on this wonderful show, and I don't want to keep you for too long. There's many other great content creators who go into even more depth of how great this show is. For example, with over 250 episodes, there's this brilliant podcast, Elwood City Limits, with hosts who may love the show more than I do. Take a quick search. There's hundreds of thousands more who this show left an impact on. I mean, why else would it go for 25 seasons? In celebration, and I promise not to make this video too video SAE, let's take a look at some clips from approximately my 10 favorite episodes. This list changes all the time, but each of these episodes I love for one particular reason or another. Maybe I'll get into that in a different video, but for now let's just enjoy some classic Arthur clips.
Arthur? We're in the rats class.
Boys at the back.
What a perfect day. The sun is shining, the air is clear, the burgers are... The burgers?
Pinky has a night light. 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 Binky, it's Arthur. School's closed today.
Why?
It burned down. Good night, Kate. Blue chocolate! Mommy, Daddy! Kate said her first word! Mommy, Daddy!
What did she say?
I bet it was Daddy. It was Daddy, wasn't it?
She said blue agua. She said it clear as a bell.
DW, don't get left behind.
How exciting, another closed door.
Follow me, please.
We could have stayed home and locked each other out of the bathroom. It would have looked just like this.
I thought you might want to see the spring reading list. Oh, are you having cake? Try the cake. Oh, are you having cake? Huh? Arthur, I thought I'd better bring you the spring reading. Oh, are you having cake?
That is the babiest baby show of all. The Love Ducks make Mary Moo Cow sound like a college professor.
No, they're kind of fun. The colors are really cool, and the music is weird, and it makes you feel happy.
You watch the Love Ducks?
My mom made me stop playing because she said staring at the computer for so long was bad for my eyes. Isn't that crazy? Hey, Prunella, when did you learn to drive?
Arthur's Perfect Christmas, which aired in Christmas of 2000, is a pretty good representation of the series as well, with hitting all the beats, and was the first piece of media I ever saw showing how different cultures and religions celebrate the holidays. Something about Arthur was so inclusive that anyone can feel that they belong in the Arthur universe. I also want to briefly touch on the new episodes. While I'm not a particular fan of the flash animation shown, there is some good moments, and in particular the episode where Mr. RATBURN gets married to a member of the same gender. There's a lot of uproar over this episode if this can be shown to kids, and I think, why the hell not? It was beautiful, and come on. That man loved some cake, if you know what I mean. It was quite obvious since the late 90s. There's so much more I want to say, but it's hard to find the words. Maybe in a different video. I'm really excited to see what PBS does with the final 4 episodes of how Arthur grew up. I predict it's going to be really weird for me. It'll be like seeing my childhood friends at a reunion and catching up. Everyone will have moved on, gone away, or the safe time capsule episodes of the early 2000s. But I think this will show me that I grew up with these characters, and there's a sense of closure of what happened to my friends in Elwood City, and how they are hopefully okay, and doing well. As I am hopefully okay, and doing well. I guess the only way to end this video properly is to thank the viewers like you. Thank you. And to leave the viewers like you with the lessons that Arthur tried to teach the world every single day. It's a simple message, and it comes from the heart. Believe in yourself, and that's where you start. What a wonderful kind of day where you learn to work and play and get along with each other. My name is Jake, and this is me saying goodbye to Arthur and all my friends in Elwood City.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Arthur!
He went around the world a couple of times.